So I just brought you along on one of my many morning trips, and one of the great joys with those trips is that I get to experience all the different herbs, and especially all the medical herbs that come out here in the spring, because yeah, it's just amazing to see how many edible plants that we actually have all around, and those are plants that have been eaten like in our culture for thousands of years, and then all of a sudden with the industrialization of society we totally forgot all about it because we only bought very few plants. So today it's like corn and wheat and rice that we eat, and maybe potatoes, but it's not like much else. We don't have like a wide variety of herbs that we eat, and so I think we lost something in terms of our culture by not eating so many different plants. And I looked in one of my mom's old cookbooks, which she inherited from her mom, and there were some plants in it that I don't think that most people would even recognize today, but plants that you can go out in nature and forage. And yeah, it speaks to me on some level. I don't know exactly what, but this idea that beforehand people were more knowledgeable about plants in nature and what to eat and what not to eat and how to use it in cooking, and even write cooking books based on partly wild plants that you can eat. So that might just be an inspiration for a project in the future, I don't know. But also I'm actually also scouting for wild edible plants that I don't already have in my forest garden, because of course I want to create as much biodiversity as possible because it's a permaculture garden. So I want to have like a wider range of plants, and mostly edible plants because I want to like be able to eat it, but also native plants because those are the ones that the microlife and the biodiversity out here in the area has adapted to throughout thousands of years. So I want to attract those in order to create a rich biodiversity, so as many local herbs as possible. So that's also what I'm doing, but I'm just amazed with how many herbs that I can find. And these herbs are also interesting in many ways because like for some it's like a bit of an acquired taste, because I think we have lost or forgot how to eat plants that are like have a high degree of bitterness or have a like are sour in ways that we are not used to, because we're used to something much more mild in nowadays society. But I still think that we can get used to it. It's just a question of creating like dishes with the right amounts of the herbs and cook them in the right ways. So I think it's kind of interesting to learn how to relearn how to use old herbs in that way. So I will definitely focus more on that once I get my homestead more established. I will just focus more on like harvesting herbs from my garden and in the forest, and use it in cooking and also in preserving my food. Because I think not only it ties you to your own culture and history by eating those old herbs that your ancestors did, It also ties you to nature and to the seasons of nature. Like some herbs are available in spring and some herbs are available in the summertime. So the meals that you can prepare in different times of year will change because the availability of different sorts of herbs change throughout the year. And I find it much more interesting to eat what's available locally than to always just be buying stuff that is imported from, I don't know, like Argentina or Spain or Morocco or whatever country, because like if you do that, you can always get the same amount of food all year round, more or less. But here you're tied more to the seasons. And in that way, I think that you feel more tied to nature and to its rhythms, because in a way we will be more like in tune with nature because we are constantly aware of nature in different ways when we try to eat what we can find in it. Yeah, so eating wild plants has a lot going for it, I guess. It can tie us to our ancestors and our history, and it can tie us to nature itself, and it can create biodiversity, and there are so many good reasons, I think, for why we should be more interested in eating local herbs, I guess. Yeah. But anyways, I need to go back to the homestead now and sow out some plants and some seeds, because it's high time for that. We're in the beginning of May right now, and I've just been focusing so much on building the homestead, so I've almost not have any time for putting out plants and seeds in the ground. But yeah, they're not doing it themselves, so I better get going. I think I totally forgot to mention maybe one of the most important things about eating wild plants, namely that they are super nutritious and healthy to eat, because like when you eat a wide variety of different sorts of plants, obviously you get a lot of fibers and vitamins and nutrients. And that is totally important for a healthy diet, I guess. So that is one of the main reasons why we should eat like many different plants throughout the year, I think. So, and I just wanted to show you this part of my forest garden where I have some other wild edible plants that I have transplanted, like this fern. Not all ferns are edible actually, but this one is. And some wild garlic and some mustard, onion, I think it's called, over there, and some hostas as well. So, and they will just cover the forest floor in this section of my garden and be ready available when I need them. But thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you learned something and maybe even found some inspiration. See you again next time.